Steve Pavlina, Self-Discipline Part 2/6. The first of the 5 pillars of self-discipline is approval or acceptance. This means that you accurately perceive reality and consciously acknowledge what you perceive. It may sound simple and obvious, but in practice it is extremely difficult. If you are experiencing chronic difficulties in some area of your life, then there is a significant chance that the root of the problem lies in an inadequate perception of reality. Why is acceptance the foundation of self-discipline? The biggest mistake people make about self-discipline is failing to accurately perceive and accept their present position. Remember the analogy between self-discipline and building muscle from the previous article? If you want to build muscle with dumbbells, then the first thing you should do is figure out how much weight you can already lift. How strong are you right now? Until you figure out where you stand at the moment, you will not be able to develop a meaningful training program. Without realizing where you are, in terms of self-discipline, you most likely will not be able to improve anything in this area. Imagine a future bodybuilder who has absolutely no idea how much weight he can lift and randomly chooses a training program. It is almost certain that the chosen weight will be either too heavy or too light. If the weight is too large, then the trainee will not be able to lift it at all, and his muscles will not grow even a gram. If the weight is too light, then the bodybuilder will easily lift them, but just as in the first case, he will not build muscle at all. Likewise, if you want to increase your self-discipline, you must understand where you are at the moment. How strong is your discipline right now? What tasks are easy for you, and what are almost impossible? Here is a list of tasks for realizing your current level of self-discipline, unsorted. Do you shower, swim, every day? Do you get up at the same time every morning? On weekends too? Are you overweight? Do you have bad habits, caffeine, nicotine, sugar, etc., that you would like to get rid of but have not succeeded yet? Is your email inbox empty now? Is your office clean? Well organized? What about your house? How much time do you waste every day? What about on weekends? If you made a promise to someone, what is the probability that you will keep the promise? If you made a promise to yourself, what is the probability that you will keep the promise? Can you eat nothing for a day? How well is your hard drive catalog organized? How often do you exercise? What is your maximum physical effort and how long ago was it? How many hours a typical day do you dedicate to goal-oriented work? Days? Do you have clear, written goals? Do you have written plans for how to achieve them? If you lost your job, how much time would you spend every day looking for a new one, and how long would you put in so much effort? How much time do you spend watching TV now? Could you not watch TV for a month? How do you look right now? What does your physical appearance say about your level of discipline, clothing, hairstyle, etc.? Do you choose food primarily based on health benefits or based on taste, satiety? When was the last time you consciously adopted a new good habit? And when did you give up bad? Do you have debts? Do you consider them a good investment or a mistake? Did you decide to read this article in advance, or did it happen by accident? Can you tell me what you will be doing tomorrow? In a week? How would you rate your overall level of self-discipline on a scale of 1 to 10? What could you do more if you answered the last question with a 9 or 10? Just as you train different muscle groups with different exercises, there are different areas of self-discipline. The discipline of sleep, food, work habits, communication, and so on. Different exercises are required to develop discipline in each area. My advice is to identify where your discipline is weakest, understand and accept where you are now, and develop your training program to improve in that area. Start with a few easy exercises that you feel confident doing and work your way up to more challenging ones. Progressive training in the case of self-discipline works in the same way as in the case of pumping muscles. For example, if you struggle to get out of bed at 10 a.m., will you be able to wake up at 5 every morning? Probably not. But can you train yourself to get up at 9.45? Easily. And by doing this, will you be able to move the wake-up time to 9.30 or 9.15? Naturally, yes. When I started getting up constantly at 5 a.m., I already did it for several days in a row, while my then normal wake-up time was at 6 to 6.30. Thus the next step was difficult but achievable for me, in part because it was within my capacity. Without acceptance, you will get either ignorance or denial. Being ignorant, you simply will not be able to understand how disciplined you are. Most likely, you have never thought about it. What you don't know, you don't know. You have only a faint hazy idea of what you can and cannot do. You will have easy successes and painful failures, but in these cases, you are more likely to blame either yourself or the chosen task, instead of simply admitting that the weight is too heavy for you and that you need to become stronger. If you are in denial of your level of discipline, then you are blocking yourself in a false perception of reality. You are either too pessimistic or too optimistic about your abilities. And like a trainee who does not know his strength, you will not become noticeably stronger, since it is unlikely that you will accidentally fall into the correct zone of training. As a pessimist, you will only lift light weights and avoid heavy ones that you could actually lift, and that would make you stronger. The overly optimistic, on the other hand, will try to lift too heavy a weight and fail over and over again, which will eventually push him to exhaustion, but will not make him stronger. Personally, I have received enormous benefits by following the path of self-discipline. When I was 20 years old, I lived in a small room, went to bed at about 4 in the morning, got up at 1 in the afternoon. I ate mostly fast food and what came to hand. I did not do any physical exercise, except for occasional long walks. Picking up mail from the mailbox was a significant achievement for the day, and the main event in my daily schedule was hanging out with friends. At the end of the month, I could not remember any outstanding events that had happened to me during the past month. I had no job, no car, no income, no goals, no plans, no real future. All I felt I had was a lot of problems that were not going to be solved at all. I did not feel that my life path was under my control. I just waited for something to happen and then reacted to it. But in the end, I met with reality and realized that it was impossible to wait and put off my life. If I wanted to get somewhere, then I would have to do something for this. And in the beginning I met many difficulties, but I overcame them, and in a short time I became much stronger. Fast forward 14 years, I see a completely different picture, like day and night. Every morning I get up at 5 o'clock. I do physical exercises 6 times a week. I eat a purely vegetarian diet with lots of fresh vegetables. My home office is well organized. Both my mailboxes, both physical and electronic, are empty. I am married, have 2 children, and live in a beautiful house. I have a diary on my desk that lists my goals and detailed plans to reach them. Some of my goals for 2005 have already been achieved. I have the clearest idea of what I want, and I do what I like. I know that I am changing. None of this happened just like that, by itself. All this was intentional. And it didn't happen all of a sudden. It took years of hard work. I still work hard now, but I have become much stronger, so things that seemed insurmountable to me at the age of 20 are now easy for me, so I can take on more complex tasks and therefore achieve better results. If I tried to do what I am doing now, at 20, I would have failed completely. A 20-year-old Steve wouldn't have been up to that task, not even a single day. But for 34-year-old Steve, it's easy. And I get excited when I think about what a 48-year-old Steve can do. Of course, compared to his own life, not anyone else's. I am writing this to impress you, not with myself, but with you. I want to impress you with what you can achieve in the next 5 to 10 years if you gradually increase your self-discipline. It won't be easy, but it's worth it. The first step is to openly acknowledge where you are now, whether you like it or not. Take for granted what you have to work with. Maybe it's not entirely fair, but we have what we have. And you will not become one iota stronger without accepting your present position.